What kind of measures have you put in place during the last kind of couple of years? And are you still operating to the same level now? Are they kind of a good practice or a best practice?
So I again, credit to my dad. He got the business to a point before he retired where, you know, the team that we've got Jody who's office manager, Neil who's a warehouse manager, Zach who's assistant warehouse manager, and everyone else within the team as well. They're really good at what they do. You know, I could confidently go on holiday for 6 months and know that they'd run it without me being there. So credit to my dad and credit to the team. You know, they are really good at what they do, and I trust them 100%. But one of the biggest changes I've wanted to make was, and again, it goes back to my dad being quite old school, you know, in his running of things. Like, doesn't take any nonsense. You know, if he doesn't agree with something, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing, but my biggest thing was to create a culture where, you know, the thing I hate the most is when people say, God's sake, it's Monday morning, I've got to go to work. Can't wait till Friday. Like, not that it's going to happen 100%, but I wanted to create an environment where people are happy to come to work and be happy at work, and with that they then perform better, which makes the business perform better. And it was nice the other day that Jody and Neil said, you know, you've definitely created that culture over the last 6 months. So. It's
really important because you spend more time with people at work than probably you do with your family, especially during the week, unless you work with your family, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do think that the last 24 months has changed people's mindset on that side of things. Even some of the really hard, strict businesses that we work with or have worked with, you walk in now and it's a completely different business. They're still the same business. It's still doing the same as they've always ever done, but the way they operate is different. I think we've done that. You know, we've definitely done that. We have more of a more of a relaxed culture in the business. We all know what we need to do. We recruit and we target people on outputs, not on hours worked. So no one's chained to a desk. You know what we're here to do. If that means that we have to do some little bit on an evening instead of during the day, then the flexibility is there to do it. And I do think that kind of working culture does actually help people out in terms of their motivation as well. Definitely. Because, like you say, if it's impacting them outside of work, then they're going to bring that in. The worst thing for me, like you said, would be somebody coming in here going, I can't wait for it to be Friday, and you've literally just started work on a Monday. It's like, what's that saying about the business? You're obviously not enjoying it, so we need to change.
100%.
We did one of our previous podcasts around culture and, you know, the importance of it in an organisation. I just sort of like picking up on what you said there. You wanted the right culture. How did you go about doing that? What sort of things did you? Because you can't create a culture, you can't make it happen, but you can sort of like put things in place to help people. What sort of things did you do?
So when we first officially go back a few months, even years, like, you know, I've always been the kind of person that I'd give anybody the time of day, no matter who you are. And luckily, because of that, I've always got on with everyone in the business really well. Even before my dad retired, whenever there was a problem, people would generally come to me because, you know, I like to get to the root cause of the problem and help people and make sure that they're okay and that they're at 100%. So that's where it sort of stemmed from. But then when we took over, I had a one-on-one conversation with everybody in the business separately, and just say, you know, this is what's happening. This is what I want to happen. You know, if there's ever a problem, don't matter if it's in work hours or out of work hours, come and talk to me. We'll get to the bottom of it. And, you know, my main concern is you. If you're happy, then I'm happy. So that's where it stemmed from.
Have you had any kind of resources that's helped you along the way? Because I know we'll come on to it later. I know you do quite a lot around well-being of people, not necessarily staff either. It's people, isn't it? And as soon as when you're embedding something into your business, it is your staff, but ultimately they're people at the end of the day. So it's all about the well-being of people. Is there any resources that's helped you along the way to actually kind of think of different ideas or different ways of implementing certain things?
I think it's just sort of saying to people, you know, there's no bad idea initially. It's whatever your idea is, let's get it out on the table, let's speak about it. I wouldn't say maybe not any sort of external resources, but just having your own resources within the business and getting in from that, developing from that, and basically just saying to everyone, we're all a team here, we're all as one. Whatever the idea is, let's get it out on the table, let's discuss it, and everyone, at some point comes up with a really good idea that, even though I'm the person running it, other people are a lot better at other things than I am, and they come up with better ideas. So it's about bringing everyone together and getting that all out.
It's a really important skill, that, I think, in terms of management of people, that if you can bring everybody together as a team, not everybody can do that, and I don't think that necessarily is taught either. One of the big things that I'm a massive advocate of is, we didn't go to managing director's degree, did we? We didn't do it. We didn't have a degree in anything to do with what we're doing. But it's all to do with the skill development of the individual that has either come from something that you've developed as through something outside of work or something that you've just naturally got. What do you think is potentially one of the most important skills that you have got to be able to run the business to the level that you have, that necessarily you wouldn't necessarily have thought?
I'd say, so like you, I know you're a big fan of listening to podcasts, as we're on a podcast now. So for me, it's continual learning, continual education. So knowing that I was stepping into this role, I listened to podcasts, The Diary of the CEO, reading books, and the one thing that was the thing that I learned the most was, it's about letting people thrive on what they're good at. A good CEO or a good managing director is not good at sales, good at warehouse, good at logistics, good at that. They have people in place that are specialised in that particular role, and you just let people thrive. You just trust them to do what they do, and then you have like I'm sure you do, you have a weekly meeting and you say, right, what's happening there? Yeah, great, love it. Maybe we could do that slightly better. What do you think? Great. No, I'm not a fan of that. Let's do that differently. And it's about, again, bringing everyone together, bringing everyone who specialises in their particular field within the company, and letting them thrive, let them do what they do best, but then bringing everyone together and getting, again, the ideas out on the table and just critiquing or just saying...
Well, you recruit people as people, don't you? No, this is the thing. You recruit them into a job, you pay them a salary, they've obviously applied or internally applied or accepted that role to do what you're asking them to do. So why wouldn't you just let them crack on and give them the free will to be able to then implement new ideas? And if you tell them to go to X but they start going towards Y, then you just have an intervention that literally kicks them back into the line you want them to go in. That freedom of an employee choice and employee ownership, for me, is pretty big in business, because micromanagement's gone. And I guess there's a need for it in certain industries. In our industry, and I'm sure in yours, there isn't a need for it whatsoever. Like I say, we have our management review meetings every Monday. Sometimes it can be an hour, sometimes it can be 2 hours, sometimes it can be even longer. It depends on what we've got on. And it's we just started implementing a thought of the week at the end, haven't we? Which is just there is no agenda for it. We literally just go around the table. It's nominated one person each week, and somebody can bring something to the table, which is your thought for the week. So we did the ladder of accountability, above and below the line. We've done quite a few different ones, and it's just about landing somebody with an idea for the week, just to make somebody have an idea about a certain thing during that week and make them think a little bit differently.
It's also making them think about other people as well, and not sort of like just concentrating on themselves, but how what they do can impact on others. And I'm guessing that's what you talked about there. There was one thing that actually jumped out at me when a minute ago, Tom, when you started that bit. You said early in the podcast that you hated school, you just didn't want to be there. But then you just said now you're keen to keep educating yourself. What's changed? What flicked the switch to make you...
I think for me it was in a classroom environment that I did particularly enjoy. I don't think I've got ADHD, but I've got a very much a personality where I can't sit still and I'm always keeping busy. It's sort of changed in the last few years, really, when I thought I really enjoy business, and then I've sort of thought, how can I improve as a business person or be a better entrepreneur or whatever it may be? And it's always learn. You can never stop learning. You know, on the way here, I've been listening to an audio book called The Psychology of Selling, and right at the end it says, "Never stop learning." They sent out a letter to the top 50 CEOs in America, and they always 95% came back and just said the one thing: "I've never stopped learning." So that's where it came from. I just thought, if I'm going to be the best person I can be, or the best, salesperson, or the best business person, I've just got to keep learning, keep reading, keep listening to podcasts, and that's how you become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I hated school as well. I liked school because I liked the social crack, and I was always like, PE, rugby, doing, going, causing trouble with the lads, that kind of stuff. I enjoyed that. What I hated was sitting in a classroom and learning about Pythagoras' theorem. Exactly. Some ancient history about what, it just didn't relate with me. I quite enjoyed it sometimes if I was in the right frame of mind, but when I was at that age, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Like most 16-year-olds, you just don't have a clue. Went to university, college, university, all that kind of stuff, and was kind of the same all the way through. But now, when I think learning's a little bit different, so for me, my aim is to do an MBA at some point. I'd love to do that. With two kids like Gemma and Alex, it's difficult. You just can't. I haven't got enough time to be able to do it. But actually, learning now is just picking things up on podcasts, or picking things up from your peers, or going out and shadowing other directors, or even just doing talks like this and picking things up from you, who's also in a hot seat in another business. Definitely. That's a different kind of learning. Still learning in terms of you're picking something up new, but you're not learning about something that you're never going to need to use. It's in a subject that you don't want to be able to learn something in, or something that's not going to be of any use to you in the future. The things we learn now is all relevant. Yeah,
that's it. It's relevance, isn't it? And that was one thing I remember. I was sat when I was at uni. What made my decision to leave was I was sat in a seminar, and I went to do sports business, and I went as in a seminar. Can't say the word. And there was talking about things from 30 years ago that had no relevance to today. And in that, I was just writing down a business idea, working out how much it had cost me, how much I could make on it, and how much the profit margin would be. And I was just like, I don't want to be here. I want to set a business up that I enjoy, that's going to help people. And that was it. It was relevance in the education. I think the education system's broken because there's not a lesson, or there's not a subject on how to start a business. And business studies doesn't teach how to run a business. And again, a lot of it comes from experience. Yeah. But for example, like you said, like you sit in maths and you learn out the square root of whatever it is. Like, what is that going to teach you in today's society? Absolutely not at all.
What would you say is your role model in business then? Who would you?
Oh, my dad, 100%. Yeah, definitely my dad. There's a friend of mine. I've got a really good friend called Jordan Cook, and her dad, Bat for Bolts. Yeah. Dean, great guy. Never really sat down with him that much. I just admire what he's done with his business, like me and yourself. He took over from his dad, and their turnover's ridiculous. And I've had conversation with him where I really took on board what he said. But 100% my dad, definitely.
I'm kind of the same as well. I mean, you can see there's a lot of business role models out there that, like you say, you listen to podcasts. You've got Stephen Bartlett and people like that who are great. They've built their businesses up from essentially nothing. Yeah. But then the role models of people that you work with are the ones that you can really relate to, because they're the ones that you're kind of engaging with day to day, and the ones that are, potentially more realistic, I guess. Not that anybody wants to shoot down anybody's business ambitions, but actually when you're looking at the businesses that we've got, then we've both got some really good business plans and business direction and goals for the business, but you want to have something that's quite realistic at the same time, don't you, that you don't end up setting yourself up to fail. What's kind of the main goal in business then? Are you looking at the business growth of your current venture? You mentioned about other business ideas. Where are you going?
So for O.S.I, and again, it's conversations I had with my dad when I first started working with him. I said, why are we just in Barnsley? Why are we not going up to Newcastle? Why are we not in London? And he said, we could be in 3 places, making 3 times as much turnover, but only making the same profit. You've got 3 times as much stress, and I don't want that stress. And my dad